whole world is watching the Russia-Ukraine border. And Ukraine is particularly interesting because it's not only is it at the center of this very tense situation, it is also a cryptocurrency capital. So joining us now is Alex Bornyakov, Deputy Minister at the Ukraine Ministry of Digital Transformation, who will talk to us a little bit about these geopolitical tensions and the effect that they have on the crypto industry in Ukraine. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So it's amazing to have you here. Yes, thank you so much for coming. I'm sure you have a lot on your mind. So given that you are actually, in Ukraine, let's just start with the most basic question, which is, what is the mood on the ground there from where you're sitting? What's the general mood there as the world is kind of watching this this situation unfold?
Well, I think the pictures that being brought out from outside is a little bit different from what we see inside. Well, we right now we're in some sort of a spot, but I would like to remind that we in a state of war with Russia since 2014, and the situation in 2014 was even worse. So they were actually in 2014, Putin actually got their approval from his parliament to invade Ukraine. It was 7 years ago. And back in the days, our army was not able to defend and so the situation was even more critical 7 years ago. So since 2014, I think we will build a strong army, and now the mood is more like we are more confident than 7 years ago, and we all stay here in Ukraine. And well, of course, people worry, and of course, there's a lot of tension, so yeah, but basically we got used to this, and we live in this state. So and we know the price of our freedom. So people saw what happened in the east, in maybe what is Donbass area, and they lost their homes. So for those who see us, 7 years ago, Russia invaded Ukraine and took like 5% of the territory. So all the people Ukrainians from this 5% of the eastern border, which is border with Russia, they moved to Kiev and other cities, and now those territories are invaded. There's no law, there's no rule of law, and they lost their homes, they lost their property, they lost their business. And now they're eager to defend because they see all these years they were able to see what's going to happen if we're not going to protect ourselves. And just for that notice, I would like to say that there's a lot of, because I heard what you was saying before, and there's a lot of troops on our border, but there's like 130,000 people. But we have to remind that Ukrainian army is almost 250,000 people, and there's 400 combat veterans they came back from all these 7 years of instant war. So in order to invade us, 100,000 people not enough, definitely not enough. Like they need 10 times more.
Interesting. Well, that's a really interesting perspective. Definitely different from what we're hearing here. Let's talk a little bit about your unique vantage point. So you're kind of at the center of technology. You're at the center of the crypto world in Ukraine. And I think what some people are not aware of Ukraine is like how important it is in the crypto world. I mean, not only is there's such a vibrant developer community. I believe it was in 2020, Chainalysis actually put Ukraine as #1 for crypto adoption worldwide. So given that situation and looking at kind of these current tensions, is there any impact? I mean, are you seeing any, for example, are you seeing any signs that startups might leave Ukraine, or tech companies might leave Ukraine, or foreign investors are getting nervous, or people are starting to put more of their assets into crypto because they're nervous about holding fiat currency? Is there any impact of this conflict on the kind of crypto tech world in Ukraine?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I believe that there was a contingency plans for companies to move their personnel either to the western border or even outside of Ukraine. I aware of such plans. Some of them executed them partially. So there's no panic here. No one's actually moving. If you just stare in the window, I was in a traffic today, so yesterday night. So there's a lot of cars. Everyone's just doing their stuff. But investors are really nervous, and of course it affects us. Even though we trying to keep calm, it's still affected by business climate, and there are some future plans of investors and a crypto community. They are very flexible. Some of them, the funny thing about Ukraine is our crypto community likes to spend winter in Dubai. So most of them, one way or another, were just moved to Dubai a couple months ago. But I don't think it's like a massive trend. So we still not able to officially confirm about how crypto transfer or crypto exchanges are number of their transactions. I can't confirm what's going on there, but I think there was some movement. But I think we have the past of the point of biggest tension, because they were supposed to invade today. So it was everyone is really nervous till today. Since today is a little bit, situation is going to be better.
Deputy Minister, good morning or good afternoon for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that these, as I said before earlier, that NATO is saying, oh well, we still have to be very concerned because, or at least they're pointing out that there's still no evidence that the Russians have pulled back from the border, and President Biden has also made some statements. Do you think that's more harmful than helpful for Ukraine, because it is affecting the markets and it's affecting investment, not just in technology but in general in Ukraine? Do you think that other countries, other leaders should maybe back off on what they're saying? I believe there are some good sides and bad sides for so it's two sides coin, because from once, of course, I think that messages like that never turns out to be good for the investment climate. That's for sure. So there's no arguing about that. But I think what we have achieved from that, for the good side, maybe in the long term, that Ukrainian army received proper weaponry and from the allies, which we were missing actually, and we received a lot of supply that we need for our defense, including finances that is essential for our economy. And those are things that really help us to become more confident and more protected, feel more protected. I believe the NATO course is the right for Ukraine, but it's not something that is going to be done tomorrow or even this year or next year. So it's some long-term plans. The escalation of the situation on the border is essential to continue our course to become one of their largest and crypto-friendly country in the world. This is actually our goal. We officially, as a government, claim that we want to build one of the top jurisdiction in the world for the crypto companies, and we want to maintain this course. And we obviously understand that in a situation like that, it's not going to be possible. So we expect that everything's going to be the tension is going to go down. Mr. Deputy Minister, Ukrainian and Russian developers work together often on such things as crypto projects and on other projects as well. There's been many collaborative efforts in business when it comes to software development and the like. Do you think that these
this latest round of issues has affected negatively that sort of cooperation on the ground between Russian and Ukrainian companies and Russian Ukrainian developers? Or do you think that that's sort of like a thing that's they're not really focused or caring about when working together?
Well, I think on a personal level, there's much less tension and negative sides. And I know some of the crypto startups and the companies that being owned by Ukrainians and Russian together. We also know about companies that and the funds, investment fund that have people from Russia, and personally, like, we do not object or do not have like any grudges on them. I think in Russia, government and citizens are kind of like far away from each other. I don't think government of the Russia listen to what their people actually think about all of this. So, but of course, there are a lot of people that are under. There's also a lot of propaganda. I can tell this because I understand Russian, and sometimes when I hear Russian channels, there's so much hateful messages and so much stuff that they're just misleading. That they tell every day to their people. So I understand why they sometimes just confused. But what I can tell from as a government official, we kind of can see the whole ecosystem that. Of course, it's much less like joint ventures with Russian Ukrainian people doing together. So we still going like step by step. We're going in a different direction.
To that end, you mentioned that you wanted to make Ukraine a tech hub, and Ukraine's parliament last month approved Diia City, which is a special economic zone, which will have a new legal and tax framework for IT companies, which the country hopes to attract a lot of tech companies, crypto companies, and what have you. And Ukraine also introduced the digital passport, which is the first in the world. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, sure. Well, we are pretty brand ministry. We're just 2 years old, and our focus is to move 100% of the government services online. And we maintain this course. And indeed, we introduced digital passports, actually first in the world. And it's actually like a full legal counterpart of the plastic paper documents. And it actually looks awesome. Well, maybe if I can show you, it's really cool. Like I know, I have this application, and well, it's really hard to see, but no, well, I have an application where all my paperwork here, and when I just forgot when I carried the passport last time, like a physical one, because I can travel inside the country, I can confirm my identity, and it's very like user friendly. And moving more and more government services. Like if you in Ukraine, if you're a mother and you have an infant, you can register. It's just in 15 minutes in a hospital. Like if you want to do business, you can open through your mobile phone. You can open a business in less than 10 minutes and pay taxes and everything through your phone. And so there's so much stuff that we moving online. If we speak about Diia City, yeah, that's one of the things that's crypto community or crypto companies from around the world can enjoy. So it's basically introduced very low taxes to like on corporate level and on labor taxes level. And there are new. Like that's not new for the world, but for its first time in the history of Ukraine, we introduced those investment tools like safe agreement, like liquidation preferences, like stocks options, like shareholders agreement available in Ukrainian legislation system. So we're basically trying to speak same language with the rest of the venture world. And Diia City, specifically in the law, it states that there is a specific provision that states that crypto companies are allowed to be part of this legal framework. We welcome everyone to work inside the jurisdiction, and also we work with our banking system and to kind of make them work together.
And amid these political tensions, does that underpin the need for this kind of financial digital independence? And is Bitcoin looked on as a safe haven of sorts to that end?
Well, I think that maybe not Bitcoin, because it's fluctuating a lot, and it's not actually safe to keep your finances in this specific asset. But I know that a lot of Ukrainians familiar with the stable coins, and they use them. We saw different reports, like you mentioned, chain analysis, but soon we're going to introduce a very interesting report on how much actual money transfers are going through Ukraine. So just we'll keep you updated, and this will be definitely interesting for you and the rest of the world. And we're doing this together with the Crystal, as far as I know. So we'll keep you posted.
Mr. Deputy Minister, would a central bank digital currency be in the offing? You have, it seems like you have everything in place to set it up, or at least some of the infrastructure with a digital passport. Do you think that that's something, a digital version of the currency, makes sense to implement soon?
Yeah. That's a great question, though. In last summer, I think in August, we passed a law that our national bank can actually start doing CBDC, but there was a delayed. The law was delayed in what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to say that law passed, but there was a provision that said that it's going to be in effect in a year. So this year in August, it's going to be in effect. So in the meantime, our national bank, together with us, working on a pilot projects on CBDC. We're considering different platforms. We recently announced that one of their pilots will be on the Stellar Foundation, on the Stellar blockchain. So we work with the Stellar Foundation and commercial banks in Ukraine. They're trying to come up with their working concept. There's also pilots with Ethereum, and we preparing a NEAR with a NEAR protocol. So I think in a couple of months from now, we'll announce some results on those pilots, and we're trying to, since the law will be in effect in August, so we're trying to do everything that is possible to figure out what their outcomes, what their technical advantages or obstacles, in order to launch it early next year, or maybe in the end of this year.